I wasn't even recording. Okay. Okay. I remember watching Game of Thrones for the very first time. It's just me and my pregnant belly in the 2020 panorama making my baby boy while dealing with severe insomnia. Watching Battle of the Bastards at 4 a.m., jaw to the floor, okay? And my journey with Attack on Titan is far more recent. I watched Attack on Titan after my baby brother basically told me to watch it. I forced him to watch Game of Thrones after watching it for my third time. And he swore if I loved the story building, the anti heroes, the dystopian worlds, the political issues, everything in Game of Thrones, I needed to watch Attack on Titan. And he wasn't wrong. And I'm glad that that is recorded because that will be the first and last time I ever uttered those words. Y'all will come to know that I am very honest. I will most likely not read them books, although the book girly in me is very tempted. And I do have the Attack on Titan manga. I do intend to read them, but I have not as of yet. I'm making this point so you know coming in, I did not read any of this shit. All of my commentary will be solely on the television shows with consideration for the context and history that these stories can and do provide. I have done some basic research to get some clarifying information from within the books, but all in all, this will be about discussing the ways that these characters are portrayed on screen and their on screen stories that deeply parallel. I am following a bit of a format to connect their storylines that also follows some of the flow of their respective shows. So I do want to be clear. This is not a recap, but a deep dive, breakdown, analysis, whatever you want to call it. So, if you can call it spoilers this many years after both shows have ended, yeah, there is going to be a lot of that. Okay, now that we have established our baseline, let's get into the whole point of the essay. Daenerys Targaryen and Eren Yeager are not the heroes in their stories. They were both wrong, bad, kind of dumb, naive people who got the endings they deserve. You need to leave. It's important to both of their stories that they experience early trauma, and after working really hard through the residual effects, they learn some lessons. People begin to respect them and follow them. These lines then get blurred about what's best for people and what's best for self. Then they think they are the only ones who can decipher right and wrong. And we see how everyone else pays the consequences for those decisions in more ways than one. The Foundation, episode 1. We meet Daenerys Targaryen at 16 years old. She literally appears like an angel. Everything about how we see her is angelic. Important. 30 minutes into the pilot, we get to meet Daenerys, who's stripped by her brother. He rubs her boob in the weirdest way possible. And the poor girl is just there, lump on a log, this empty, cold, dead look in her eyes. He is constantly making clear to her that he is using her body and her sex as a means to advance himself back on the throne. Sexually harassed his own sister and exploited her within the first 10 minutes of us meeting them, which at the moment is supposed to say a lot more to you about who her brother is, while smothering you with sympathy for babyface Amelia Clark, who is playing Daenerys Targaryen. Our first interactions with Daenerys in early episodes of season 1 are about making clear Daenerys has no agency. No agency over her life, no agency over her body. Season 1 is the pinnacle of purity for most of our main characters, but especially for Daenerys. As I've watched the show, watching the parallels, rewatched the show, mind you, I've watched it like 7 times. As I've rewatched the show, watching the parallels of Daenerys growing up while we watch Sansa and Jon specifically, but the Starks in general, also adds to the innocence of Daenerys. Jumping from Viserys, sorry. Listen, Game of Thrones gonna have us mixing up a lot of names. Just deal. Jumping from Viserys kissing Daenerys on her forehead after he just explicitly told her, I would let every Dothraki and their horses mount you if it got me back to the Iron Throne. Then cutting to Catelyn Stark doing Sansa's hair while Sansa asks, do you think Joffrey will like me? It's such a deep contrast. Daenerys is all alone in the world. Imagine a 16-year-old girl being on the run their whole life, quite literally no adult family around, for nothing that she did, literally because of her parents, her father's decision. She was essentially raised by her brother, and yeah, it's traumatic to be sold off like chattel to someone that all of the rich white men around you keep telling you is a savage. Repeatedly, repeatedly. They keep reminding the girl, this man's nuts. You're gonna go live with him forever.
Khal Drogo has never been defeated. He's a savage, of course, but he's one of the finest killers alive. And you will be his queen.
She's forced to marry Khal Drogo and live with the Dothraki, so that way her twink-ass brother can use their army to become a king again after the Targaryens are kicked out of Westeros, blah, blah. We're gonna get to all that. We watched the sexy little cherub get married off to Khal Drogo, who whisked her away on a white horse and raped her on the beach at sunset. And although all of this is happening in our introduction to Daenerys and the Game of Thrones world overall, one of the most pivotal moments for the pilot, the series, and Daenerys also happens here. Daenerys is given her dragon eggs as a wedding gift. Similarly with Daenerys, we meet the most honest human version of Eren Yeager on episode 1. He is 10 years old. There is a lot we learn about Eren in our pilot. He gets really upset to see the scouts and Hannes drinking and bullshitting on the job while he worries whether Titans will come back and attack. We also learn about Eren's frustration living within the walls to begin with. He carries so much anger and resentment around their living conditions, and rightfully so. Aaron describes them as chattel, being fed and contained because their living is oppressed by the existence of the Titans outside of the walls, literally waiting to eat all of them. Then they are suddenly attacked by the colossal Titan who soccer kicks a hole through their wall in Shiganshina, sends in all of the little baby Titans who are like 50 feet tall. So the colossal Titan is around 190 feet. The average wingspan for a Boeing 747 is 225. And for context, for the little ones, 50 feet is the size of like a semi trailer or the length of the average humpback fucking whale. These things are huge. So the little Titans make their merry way to terrorize Shiganshina. And heavy on the merry because these motherfuckers just skip around jolly as fuck eating people all day long. nothing, nothing between the ears. But jolly as fuck. Anyway, and Aaron races home to check on his mother, only to find that their home has been destroyed from the soccer kick, and Aaron's mom is caught under the rubble with her legs crushed. Like any child, Aaron tries to get his mother free, but ultimately cannot. Hannes reappears, and although he wants to try and save Aaron's mom, he grabs Aaron and Masika. They run for their lives, and Aaron watches as the smiling Titan literally eats his mother while he is watching. It's incredibly traumatizing for him, all things considered, and kind of the catalyst for Aaron changing forever. We also briefly, and more importantly, before the attack, meet Aaron's father, Grisha, who makes note of some work he's doing in the family basement while showing a key around his neck, which will be relevant to Aaron later. We meet the purest form of our characters here and enjoy them like this because this does not last long. It's also interesting to note how, for both of these pilot episodes, we have a tangible object that foreshadows a connection for our characters to their future selves and also anchors them in the current and traumatic moments in time. Othering and oppression. It's important to keep in mind that both of our characters are battling oppression every day. And it absolutely is a source of their decision making in keeping their societal obstacles in mind. She is a Targaryen. Targaryens are nut jobs. so so much that to be born one is basically like one bad day away from the Joker with dragons. It's basically like Joffrey or Damon. And this is something that continuously follows Daenerys. Initially, when we meet her, she spends a lot of time making sure to be level headed and to be perceived as level headed by others because she understands some of the stigma of her family's history. And interestingly enough, the other oppression point Daenerys carries is her womanhood. Duh. And she spends the whole show trying to prove that neither makes her crazy or bad. And in a lot of ways, she's right about that. She battles these oppressions very equally. They either think she's crazy because she's a Targaryen or because she's a lady. And Daenerys spends so much time trying to prove that actually Targaryen women can both be driven to madness by complete outside forces rather than these tired ass stereotypes. Because we do get driven to madness either way. Babe, that's not going anywhere. As for Eren, he's an Eldian. So we do have to get into a bit of Attack on Titan lore to why this is a thing. So basically, get ready. So basically, when the first Titan comes into exist, Ymir, she was under the control of King Fritz, who she absolutely loved, but he was a piece of shit. He used the Titan power that she had to rule over their country, Marley, with brute force and enslavement. They kind of went to other countries all around the world and did that. The Marleyans fought back, and they captured 7 powerful Titans. So King Fritz flees to parity with the founding Titan, Ymir, and some Eldians. The Eldians left behind in Marley are generationally abused, treated like second class citizens, and they also get resentful of the Eldians on the island of Paradis. Obviously, with the history of being an oppressive group, through their connection to King Fritz and the fact that only Eldians can be transformed into Titans, it makes it incredibly easy to stereotype them as dangerous, or AKA the Island Devils. There is another layer to this that the people in Paradis have essentially no idea currently that the rest of the world exists and isn't being plagued by titans the way they are. They literally are trapped on an island with a bunch of walls that are keeping them confined to kind of save them from the titans on the outside of the walls, but they have no idea that the rest of the world is like happening without this trauma of titans, let alone happening at all. Half of the series is just them trying to see the ocean for the first time before actually going outside into the real world, which is crazy to consider because we're talking about people who live on an island who have never seen the ocean because they're so insulated into the center because they're being attacked by these giant titans all day long. So they never get to see the water. So yes. Um both Eren and Daenerys carry this kind of silent but deadly genetic bomb. A thought train that I had, I think that's worth mentioning as we discuss these characters with oppression is the ways how Daenerys at no point ever really expresses sympathy or guilt or second guesses her choices. Aaron spends the very last time he is alive battling a very deep guilt and confusion about what he is and the decisions he's made to get where they are. And this is an idea that hasn't left my mind when thinking about these two characters. Even in Game of Thrones or Attack on Titan, racism or white supremacy is, although never directly discussed, absolutely relevant within their worlds. I do think it's an interesting point where as Daenerys gets worse and worse as an incredibly powerful white woman with every pretty and half smart white man she can find, basically telling her, "You're like really pretty." For 2 seasons, while she's beginning to lose her fucking mind in front of all of them, while also repeatedly tempting genocide. The core of Danny's oppression is the choices of her family. Aaron's is from his literal skin and where he comes from, but with an asterisk, as you'll see later. Growing pains. Daenerys grows into the Khaleesi role. Our girl is really good at being bad at this. I think the most frustrating part for Daenerys in this space is that she carries an arrogance while being completely ignorant and naive. When Daenerys attempts to save the woman during one of the Khalasar's pillages, and later on, that same woman basically tells her, "You think that you saved me, but the men raped me before you ever came, trying to pull your little white savior shit." Because it became too much for you, because this is new for you, but this is our everyday life. And, the reality is you're still foreign. You're a foreign, young, pretty slim white girl. You're not having the same experience that all these other women who are dealing with the Khalasar are having. And even though this is the beginning of Daenerys' first big character development, this is not the last time she will do some stupid ass shit. Eren growing into a scout is genuinely funny as fuck. Eren obviously grows with a deep resentment towards Titans because they killed his mama. So he becomes a scout, vowing to kill every single Titan to get in his path. Except he's trash. He's trash. Straight booty scout. He's not good at this. And you do feel bad for him for it. He clearly has all of the drive and the hunger to want it. And he wants to be good at it. But he is exceptionally bad. And with some support and hard work and practice, he becomes a scout within the top 10 of his class. And just like our girl Daenerys, this is a big deal to his character arc, even if he still does kind of fuck it up. Very relatable either way. Sometimes you want something and you may not have the skills just yet. So you fuck it up along the way, but you're trying. And every time you fuck it up is actually making it better as you go. Kind of like with me doing these. I'm not gonna we both push through. They both push through and grow into young, optimistic, powerful people with incredible potential. But obviously, there's lots of growing pains here. Iffy decision making, meant to obviously show the audience growth through time, but very much a focus on their naivete at the same time. The change begins. For both characters, these are big deal moments, but it's important that it shocks the character just as much as it does us. Even if we all know at this point they are good persons who deserve being chosen. To our mother of dragons. Now I know I said it shocks the character just as much as it does us, but Daenerys at this point has definitely been dropping some hints that she thinks she might be the dragon her bitch boy brother thought he was. So after she did that dumb shit with the witch I mentioned earlier, Shorty gets pregnant and her fine ass man gets an infection from a fight. So girl gonna ask the witch to use blood magic.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
To save her man, who just finished letting his whole tribe rape and pillage the woman's village. So, yeah, obviously the magic is not going to work the way that she thought.
Knew what I was buying, and you knew the price.
It was wrong of them to burn my temple.
This is not God's work. My child was innocent.
It would have been the stallion who mounts the world. Now he will burn no cities. Now his Halasar will trample no nations into
I
dust.
spoke for you. I saved you.
3 of those riders had already raped me before you saved me, girl. I saw my God's house burn. There where I had healed men and women, beyond counting. Head of a young boy that I'd cured of fever just 3 moons past. Tell me again exactly what it was that you saved.
Your life.
Why don't you take a look at your Hal? Then you will see exactly what life is worth. All the rest has gone.
Daenerys gives birth to a stillborn baby. Because y'all never learn when it comes to spirituality that does not belong to you not to fuck around. And fine ass Jason Momoa is the one who had to be the one to find out. So Daenerys says, "Aye, witch, you gotta die." But instead, she puts the witch, her veggie tail, the stillborn, the horse, and her 3 dragon eggs inside of this hut and sets it on fire with all of them inside. And from the ashes rises a young mother and her 3 children. Eren dies and becomes a Titan. Hey, so time jump. It's 5 years after the initial attack in Shigashina, and our trio, Eren, Armin, and Mikasa, graduate training camp within the top 10 and join the Survey Corps. Before they can even think to enjoy their new lives, the Colossal Titan attacks Tross District, which is where they are at the time. The cadets are overwhelmed and handedly get their asses beat. Everyone's favorite liability, Armin, gets caught in the mouth of a Titan. Eren pushes him out before he gets eaten, only to get eaten himself. The cadets are devastated, but gotta keep fighting when out of the blue a strange Titan appears and begins to fight the other Titans in defense of the humans. Never happened before. Shocking. We see Eren emerge out of this new Titan's neck. Nape, is the term they use. Unharmed. He, we, me, them, all shocked. Jaw to the floor. Shocked. The betrayal. Okay, so this is a very big deal for Daenerys. And even though later on she does forgive Jorah, when she initially finds out that he was spying on her for King Robert when they first met, my girl was broken. Vexed, but broken. Okay? He was 1000% do or die for Daenerys for real. And that kind of betrayal really knocks the wind out of her. Daenerys also just finished a couple of L's between Zoran Daxos and Karth. Some ghostly warlocks steal her dragons for a little bit. She's rightfully pissed and lets the Dothraki pillage that whole house of gold, and he locks him and her sneak ass handmaiden with him in a vault. And then they have all the mess at Slaver's Bay. She purchased the Unsullied army, not to mention with some bumps and a badass moment, one of the craziest, dopest moments in television. That shit was hard.
Zadrize zbuzdali skos daur. Nigei Daenerys cel masmo enta Geriol entrat. En Valeria wepo anaga Alexander. Valeria munio engos nuhis isa. Kova Geri. Axia osentas, menti osentas. Iloni pilos lue vale torvio osentas. Inenio drigatas. Onne lue torne brigatas. Dracarys.
Learning that Jorah was actually helping have her killed in the beginning is a crack. A crack. Bertolt and Reiner being some punk ass bitches. Eren really gets thrown off when he finds out that the female Titan is a cadet from his class, Annie Laneheart. The idea that there are other Titans like him, humans accessing these Titan powers at the time, is mind-blowing because he still doesn't understand the Titan story. He still doesn't really know why he can do what he can do and transforming into a Titan back and forth. But nothing prepares him to find out that his 2 closest friends in his cadet corps, Reiner and Bertolt, were the Colossal and Armored Titans. Both were at the start of the initial attack in Shigashina, where Eren watched his mother die. They did the soccer kick that let all the baby Titans in. Even more enraging is when Eren remembers that he told Reiner and Bertolt about his mother's death, and they acted super sympathetic. Like they wasn't fucking there. He was right there, bro. Now, with some major differences, Daenerys and Missandei are ride or motherfucking die, bitch. Hey. We ain't there yet. But what that should let you know is that Daenerys Targaryen does not play about our good sis Missandei. Missandei, she's a slave. An enslaved woman that she purchases, although granting her freedom. Be clear. We can have a lot of conversations about this crazy bitch, But Daenerys is a woman who does think she hates oppression, as long as it's not coming from her, which it's going to be a part of our problem. That's part of our problem. Aaron and Armin. Aaron and Armin are your classic divas in diapers. Hot and cold, the dreamer, the realist. They are a great balance in that Aaron is the impulsive hothead with big dreams, and Armin is a low-key dreamer who appreciates and operates in practicals and realities. He is still enough of a dreamer to push against societal norms, but not enough of a dreamer to imagine himself as valuable and important in the same ways his best friends Mikasa and Eren feel in relation to him. And we're gonna get into my girl Mikasa soon. It's important to highlight these relationships because they do keep our characters grounded. Missandei is silent but deadly, a sponge, and truly loyal to Daenerys. And there is no one who wants freedom for Eren as much as Armin does, because he understands how the limitations of their world hinder Eren from happiness and connection to his own humanity. Basically, siblings to lovers? Okay. So I want to start with that. Unlike Eren and Mikasa, John and Daenerys are dead ass related. She is his aunt. She's Jon Snow's aunt. She is slightly older than him, but literally it can't be like more than a year. So, very quickly, John is raised not knowing his dad ain't his dad, it's his uncle. John's mom, Ned's sister Lyanna, dies giving birth to John. Daenerys' older brother, Rhaegar, had a secret relationship with Lyanna and then had a secret love child through marriage, Aegon, aka John. But he's a Targaryen. His uncle Ned lies and says it's his bastard baby so they don't take him and kill him because they were killing Targaryens at the time. Hence why Daenerys is sent away from Westeros with her brother Viserys, who is a toddler around the time when Jon and Daenerys are born and Robert's rebellion begins and takes place, right? Side note, for those who are already familiar with the story, this is probably something I would have known if I read the books. But during my little research, I did not know that those babies that Pedro Pascal is talking about when the Mountain kills his sister Elia Martell are John's half siblings. I did not know that. Wild as fuck. Wild as fuck. John is built different. Okay, John is a good guy. He cares about the realm, the people in the north, lives to be as honorable as possible, even to a huge fault a lot of the time, which is definitely the most annoying part about him. Just being clear. Eren and Mikasa. Okay, so this is a very touchy subject in the Attack on Titan community for a few reasons. Eren and Mikasa have known each other since they were kids. Eren's dad, Grisha, was a doctor, and he took his son with him to see the Ackermans. He gets there, and the family has been killed, and the daughter is kidnapped. Eren finds where they've taken Mikasa, and he just stabs the fuck out of the people who took her. I don't understand. I don't know. He gives her this red scarf, and Eren's family takes Mikasa in. Mikasa is a badass bitch. The baddest bitch in the game, for real. The best hands on any woman in Attack on Titan. Nobody except the motherfucking goat can touch Mikasa's hands. And that's that Ackerman shit, okay? She is stoic, and she loves her friends, Eren and Armin, dearly. Since Mikasa was living with Eren's family, she grew very attached to his mom and promised her that she'd take care of Eren. But it's also incredibly fucking clear that Mikasa is in love with Eren. And I'm just gonna say, it literally is never made clear until like the last 3 episodes of the entire show that Eren is even attracted to Mikasa or romantically interested in her at all. Eren basically treats Mikasa like an annoying sister for most of the show, and then when we get to how the show wraps up, we'll get more into why that is, according to Eren. Love an unreliable narrator, love an unreliable source. This fucked up, random, important, outside of their control thing that's happening. White Walkers. The White Walkers, in context to Daenerys, are very interesting because, in relation to the show, White Walkers don't even come to Daenerys' radar until she finally makes it home to Dragonstone for the first time and meets Jon Snow, the nastiest freak you know. Eh. But what I find interesting is that aside from our very short time in Karth and the sadly abandoned incredible plot that is the Faceless Men, the only consistent magic fantasy that comes from the show is Daenerys' dragons and the White Walkers. And I wish they could have done more with how those two forces interact and exist within the same world, especially after those worlds collide. Titans are humans forcibly turned into Titans. Okay, so there's a lot of backstory in AOT lore, and this show is incredible in how it teaches the audience and Eren in particular all of this information. So I'm going to give you the short version of context that we need for the portion of this conversation. When Eren becomes a Titan, he learn that whoever holds the Titan has access to the memories of the person who held the Titan prior. So Eren sees a memory of his father finding out that the people of Marley use the Eldians that we mentioned were left behind before. Those who are criminals or just being discriminated against by the Marleyan people are basically kidnapped and turned into Titans. They're like injected with some shit and killed, and they turn into these giant Titans. This is one of the huge realizations Eren comes to in the show, because although the Titans look like humongous humans, no one ever knew or considered that these were humans being turned into these monsters, and against their will at that. Wild, crazy. A dark switch flips. Two dragons die, and Masande's big chop. So with Daenerys in particular, the switch flip is a two-parter. You have to keep in mind that once Daenerys makes her way to Westeros, it's nonstop L's. She spends time trying to prove herself because Jon initially does not bend the knee to her as the rightful heir of the throne, because she's not. And that turns her on and off at the same time. So she does go to save Jon and his friends when they get surrounded by White Walkers, who at the time she doesn't necessarily believe in as a threat. But when Shorty gets face to face with the Night King, who kills one of her dragons, one of her children, Daenerys is floored. And after that, the elves do not stop coming. On top of that, nail in the coffin, the best / worst villain in history, argue with your mama, Cersei Lannister, has Daenerys' right-hand bitch, Missandei, captured, and has the Mountain give her a final big chop after she gives her last word to the world, her boo, her best bitch, and their army. Dracarys! Oops, wrong show. Everything in the basement and after. Very literally, the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan are all basically focused on one thing. Going back to Shiganshina, where it all began. In the very first episode, like we mentioned, we briefly meet Eren's father Grisha, who tells him if he listens to his mother while he's gone, showing him the key wrapped around his neck, he will show him what he's been working on in their locked family basement. The answers to everything are within the basement. Everything Eren learns from this moment on all impact his final decisions. This will be harder to make brief, but I will try. So just follow along. Eren learns that his dad was originally from Marley and had a son named Zeke, who in the story we only know at this point as the Beast Titan. Eren also learns that the founding Titan has special abilities that can basically alter the minds of the subjects of Ymir, aka Eldians. This explains why the people in the island of Paradis think that they are the only people on the planet for the most part. Historia, Eren's friend, who is a royal and connected to the founding Titan story, becomes queen and hosts an event to honor the people of Shiganshina. He kisses her hand and unlocks all of his father's memories and his own memories from the future. There is a crazy magic within the founding Titan that basically intertwines their memories from past and future. Eren's dad Grisha can see what Eren will do in the future from his time in the past. Eren can see all of his decisions, right, wrong, past, future. Everything Eren has ever known is shattered here. He is never the same again. Trips to the motherland, y'all. Everything about Daenerys in Westeros. When she was on the other side of the world, trying to free all the brown people, she did not have to deal with the kind of plotting and scheming that existed in Westeros. She was definitely learning strategy and dealing with powerful men, but I still don't think that anything she experiences in Essos prepares her for having to go toe to toe with the evil goddess demon woman bitch from hell that is Cersei Lannister. Also, because she has to flee and live in hiding as a child, and she's a Targaryen, the Westerosi in general, and particularly the Northerners, view her as an enemy and an outsider who brought a foreign brown army with her and three big ass dragons. She has no literal or personal context for how deeply unsettled the Westerosi feel about a Targaryen with a dragon, let alone three. She feels like an outsider the whole time. I think a lot of her discomfort gets projected onto Sansa around this time, which is ironic because, like I mentioned, I do think that the show parallels them in the first season and definitely in the last two. Sansa is basically a northern princess, and Daenerys has a hard time contending with the respect and admiration that Sansa receives from the people and Jon, and even some of her own advisors. I could hear her on that. That was a bit much. They was y'all know Tyrion loved him some Sansa. That was also his ex-wife. So yeah. Eren goes to Marley. So Eren basically decides he's gonna go to Marley for himself and see if humanity deserves a chance before he decides what he's going to do. Eren carries a lot of resentment, not only to the Marleyans, but towards the world, all of humanity, for punishing the people of Paradis. They were within their walls, in fear of Titans, never knowing there was an outside world, fully aware they were suffering. You have to understand that the people of Paradis do not know the rest of the world is alive and not being tortured by Titans also. In the last episode of season 3, the Survey Corps sees the ocean for the first time. Considering all the fighting that they have done thus far just to get there, this is supposed to be an incredibly powerful and inspiring moment to represent a win in their fight for their freedom. Eren does not internalize it this way. He sees all that's been taken from his people. It doesn't feel like freedom at all. It's got a point. The idea of no control over their own decisions. Being a Targaryen, there was like a 7 quadrillion% chance that Daenerys was going to be batshit crazy either way. A lot of Daenerys' story feels like racing from a destiny. You want to root for her. You want her to break the curse, break the chains, break the norms, break Cersei's motherfucking face in. But with every little step she takes, she does not get any better at being a ruler. Whether she wants to be a good leader or an evil one, she doesn't have it. And evil is easier. Frankly, that sentence may be the whole point of this essay. Evil is easy. Evil is dumb. And that doesn't mean it isn't strategic, right? You can't look at some of our most notorious villains and ever think that they're dumb, but there's also a difference between a true villain and Daenerys and Eren. Are you born wicked, or is wickedness thrusted upon you? Being a Titan and the Curse of Ymir. So, in my opinion,
For me. That's my opinion!
Eren does not break the curse at all. He doesn't. He doesn't. He does a couple things to help, but does not break the curse. And we're going to use Eren's own words to prove. To start, I don't know if I said it or if you're bad at context clues, but Eren is gonna die in the end, y'all.
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
Rest in peace, but not really. Anywho, so before Eren dies, he basically goes and visits his friends in their subconscious and basically gives them these individual goodbye conversations and answers to the questions the best he can. But through the founding Titan's powers, he blocked those conversations from their memory and had it so they would not experience those memories for the first time until after he's died. We spend a nice piece of our time in the final episode slash movie, episode 30, the final chapter, special 2, with Armin having his goodbye conversation with Eren. In this moment, Eren is basically taking Armin through time to try to provide some context for why he decided to be a genocidal maniac asshole. Eren talks about all the ways the bitch king from the beginning abused Ymir, and even after dying, she still felt loyal to him because she loved him. Eren uses this to kind of basically say it was Mikasa who broke Ymir's curse because of her courage to do the right thing in killing Eren. Mikasa kills Eren. But like what, girl? Ymir, my good sister. That man forced your children to eat your body so they could keep your powers. He really did that. I am a Cancer. I am a Cancer girl. I am one forgiving motherfucker. But 2,000 years to understand you should have left the motherfucker where you found him? Eren basically describes a kind of brainwashing that took over his mind once he became the founding Titan. This moment actually reveals what to me is the true mindfuck and biggest plot twist of this show, because Eren admits that he used the founder's power to basically have his mother killed in the past to set all of this in motion. You heard that correctly.
Don't do it just yet. There's gotta be another way. No, I'm sure none of them wanted to die either, but I mean, it's just like you said. I'm a slave to freedom. How could you do something so stupid? Was there no other way? I refuse to believe this.
Thank you, Armin, forever our voice of reason, because what the fuck are you talking about? What does that even mean? What are you saying?
Why? Why did all of this happen? I finally get it. I'm an idiot. You're a run-of-the-mill average idiot who found incredible power.
And he is right. Okay? Eren lived in the heat of vengeance from suffering the oppression from the world in his mind, only to get into a seat of power himself and literally crash the fuck out on 80% of the planet. And why do y'all think that the curse is lifted anyway? When the very last shot of this show, the last scene before the show is over, clearly and brightly implies that this is gonna fucking happen again because they didn't fix anything. Jesus Christ, open the fucking schools. Like, honestly, I don't understand how y'all don't see that. Anyway. Death in the hands of love. John stabs Danny after the best shot ever and the most Hitler-esque speech ever. So, we really didn't get into this tea, but yeah. John and Danny was hunching. Hunching. But everything goes to shit when Daenerys gets blasted with the ultimate truth, which in my opinion is what pushes Daenerys over the edge completely. Jon is a Targaryen, an actual heir to the Iron Throne. Losing the second dragon, her favorite guard dog died fighting the White Walkers, rest in peace Jorah. They hit Missandei with that fatal diva cut, and now her favorite eater is her nephew and true heir to the Iron Throne. So now he's not eating and he's taking her job. That's wild. And once Daenerys sees how Jon moves because he wants no parts of Auntie after he found out. He wants no parts. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. My girl loses her fucking mind. Everybody warns her. Don't kill a bunch of innocent people. Don't be crazy. Literally everyone is expecting you to be batshit crazy right now. That's what the evil demon crazy queen bitch from hell, Cersei, wants you to do. So please, do not fucking kill everyone. Mikasa gives Armin the big chop. If there is anything Eren makes clear in the beginning of the end, is that he set this plan in motion and already knew how it would end. I would argue for most of season 4, Eren is just preparing everyone for the inevitable that he keeps pretending is still really up in the air, but also exactly how he describes, predicts, and literally makes happen. It's called the rumbling. Basically, no one knew, but within the walls of Paradis, there were thousands of Titans hidden inside of them. Once the plan from the attack Titan is initiated and the rumbling begins, there is no stopping it. We are talking about Titans just a little shorter than the Colossal at around 150 feet. They literally just walk in a straight line and step on everything crossing their path. And they let off like a super hot steam at the same time. So it's burning, they're squishing you. It's done. You're done, bro. And what deeply frustrates me about this ending is that Eren spends so much time convicted on what must happen. What must happen. The last few minutes of doubt and humanity just seem to be a waste of time. Frankly, I think it kind of ruins the ending that would dramatically change the way we would have looked at Eren's choice. If Eren would have just committed to the bit and been like, listen, I saw the future, I chose all this in the past, and genocide is the only answer. So to be so dead set on genocide, but 5 minutes beforehand be like, am I tripping? Oh my god, I am so sorry. Cry, cry, cry. But actually, fuck it. Nah, shrug. Genocide 80% of the planet. Go ahead. Or as he and Zeke called it, the euthanization plan. His friends in the Survey Corps really are still pushing to try and stop the rumbling. And he dead ass brings them to the paths, which is like their spiritual realm for the Titans over there. And he tells them that he will not stop the rumbling. They can't talk him out of it. He will do nothing to stop them from stopping him, and tells them the only way they can stop his plan is if they kill him. Well,
There is only one way for this to be resolved. Fight. But then why do this? If talking won't help, then why bring us here? I brought you here to say that there is nothing to say. You will only stop my events when you stop me from breathing, and you are free to try.
dumbass way of thinking that only Eren and Daenerys would believe, because that's how authoritarians and dictators think. Final thoughts. Throughout the lives and deaths of what I could clearly argue are two of the best characters ever on television, what ultimately inspired me to write this was two things. One, the obvious parallels in their stories about the rise of a freedom seeker to them failing and falling into fascism. 2, the misrepresentation of these characters, who these characters are, and what they are supposed to teach us within our current society. So, 1. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines fascism as a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime, such as that of the fascisti, that exalts nations and often race above the individual. That is associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, and that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of oppression. What's the connection between a desperate need for freedom through the oppression of others? Fascism very literally kills any opportunity for freedom. And yet we see time again, whether in these shows or in our real lives, that leaders who seem to be trying to spread their versions of freedom also share authoritarian traits. The freedom seeker in Eren referred to his people as chattel, describing himself and his people as animals in a cage waiting for the slaughter. Daenerys pushes her breaker of chains narrative. Eren sees the rumbling as the means to the end of the threats against his people from the world by literally genociding everyone. Daenerys tells the Unsullied after she burns down King's Landing in her very Hitler-esque speech, where she promises that they will keep liberating all over the world. We battle these ideas of freedom and control or security constantly within the US and globally, and absolutely within Attack on Titan and Game of Thrones and other popular media.
Sintas, seas postarutti hybridas. Sir, därmi rosse istat. In va batolvi o viho beoldi darvende. In veni pasma tetostaor. In va batolvi o viho vin rondire verat. Dolvri o pregelat. En winter velva dornot. En lariso valeniot. En jairo geerot. Avar, Valar, Rinjar, Tore Grego Vobotis! Grevi in noma pregelat!
Accessing archive. Hydra was founded on the belief that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. What we did not realize was that if you try to take that freedom, they resist. The war taught us much. Humanity needed to surrender its freedom willingly. After the war, S.H.I.E.L.D. was founded, and I was recruited. The new Hydra grew, a beautiful parasite inside S.H.I.E.L.D. For 70 years, Hydra has been secretly feeding crisis, reaping war. And when history did not cooperate, history was changed.
That's impossible. S.H.I.E.L.D. would have stopped you.
Accidents will happen. Hydra created a world so chaotic that humanity is finally ready to sacrifice its freedom to gain its security. Once the purification process is complete, Hydra's new world order will arise.
Every last one of these people is killed. The entire city is massacred. I should say I massacre them. We learn that our wish is impossible. We never find a way to save Paradis. So everything here ends. The rumbling will not stop. And the future of the island of Paradis will not be left to the whims of fate. I will keep moving forward. There is only one way for this to be resolved. Fight. I will hold freedom in my hands by taking it from this world. The homes, the people, the lives they live. The animals, fields of ice, sandy snowfields, water that glows like fire. Their dreams. From the moment I was born, no stifling walls were the farthest I could see. To witness all that was to know the greatest freedom this world could offer.
We're here. We're free.
Two. Firstly, I think my most obvious gripe with the way that these two characters are received is y'all talk about them like they're good guys. The hot take that actually started the conception of this video was me reading y'all for filth on how Daenerys is obviously not the prince or princess who was promised. And Eren was always a scared little boy with more power than he ever understood and knew what to do with. But both of these characters represent multiple layers of our own humanity. Daenerys, to me, is like it's like white privilege in modern America. Yes, she has endured hardships outside of her control, but no different than others around her. She believes that she deserves the Iron Throne because she said so. That's it. The realm has literally exiled and killed off her entire family, and Daenerys knows this. She makes so many comments about how foolish her brother was for really believing that the people in Westeros were sitting around praying for their return. The period this show exists in makes clear the sacrifices it takes for women to live within the power structure. And finally, when Daenerys finally decides to burn all of King's Landing down to the fucking ground, she proves that the evil goddess demon witch bitch from hell that is Cersei Lannister was probably the better option all along. Cersei would have never done no shit like that. First off, that's literally not the same thing. Relax, please. When Dany's goals shift from the breaker of chains to the breaker of the wheel, we don't have the same crusader that we loved in the beginning. When the power and respect of the Iron Throne become all that matters, she's never the same. Cersei never claimed to be anything more than the evil, power-hungry, bad bitch that she was. But actually, when both these characters release their humanity and begin to power at the core and focus on their missions is when we lose the characters we love so dearly. When Dany shifts from Khaleesi to Hitler, the only thing that matters is the Iron Throne. It's not about Cersei or Jaime or barely the White Walkers. Dealing with them for her is just getting to the throne on the other side. Eren changes to the darkest versions of himself after he finds out the truth about Marley's and the rumbling. I would argue the moment he kisses Historia's hand is the last time we see Eren in the present with his humanity. Eren Eren is very reflective to me of the incel type boys. Both of these once wholesome, pure individuals end their journeys believing that the only way to freedom is through genocide. By clearing out all of the bad, you can only have good. But when you clear out indiscriminately with no regard for innocence or nuance or humanity, you are left with what Daenerys was preparing the Unsullied for, or what the Yeagerists actually did. Eren and Daenerys are not good people. They are not heroes. They are the bad guys. Cautionary tales. Their plan is not right. If your hero story ends with killing innocent people, they are not the hero. People who commit or support genocide are not good. Genocide is bad. Evil is bad. And bad is not good. That's it. The end.